Hello and welcome to Sriraj IS. My name is Shashank Roy and we are here with a new topic. But this topic is not related to US Iran warfare. This is related to Morocco. And why Morocco is in the news? Because Donald Trump is making Morocco the new drone hub. Apart from Morocco, there are various news coming out about Africa as a continent and different countries, especially Burkina Faso or the Sahel region or Uganda or Democratic Republic of Congo or Sudan and South Sudan. So various countries are in the news, and UPSC prelims you will get at least 6 to 8 questions coming out from mapping. So let's start talking about this article. Trump's new drone hub, Morocco. Africa's critical mineral. Africa is one and only continent in the world with three different lines. This is equator, Tropic of Cancer, and Tropic of Capricorn passes through Africa. And Africa is also known as dark continent. Dark continent. Africa is the best example of we can call Africa a paradox. Why? Because is abundant. Africa is abundant in terms of critical minerals and natural resources. Critical minerals and natural resources, but at the same time, Africa is also the poorest nation on earth. Poorest nation on earth, right? Apart from that, the new development says that multiple world superpowers are setting its foot in Africa. Why Africa? To access and control the race of critical minerals. China has already signed a critical mineral agreement with Democratic Republic of Congo. US has signed the same kind of agreement 3 days back. Russia is trying to increase its foothold and control the resources in Sahel region. India is also very strategic with regards to its relation with Africa. India is trying to become the voice of global south. So let's move on to some other pages. Metal Tech News says these are the critical minerals found in Africa. Now, Lobito Corridor is Democratic Republic of Congo's corridor, which is related to supply of critical minerals infrastructure, and through this infrastructure, DRC wants to become a supplier or exporter of critical minerals to the world. Again, natural resources across top minerals per country. This is the image taken from Al Jazeera, and here the color coding is there. Critical minerals in Africa. Rwanda is known for tantalum, niobium, tungsten. Ethiopia is rich in tantalum. Burundi is tantalum. Tanzania, graphite and rare earth. Democratic Republic of Congo has the world's biggest source of cobalt, which is a critical mineral, copper, niobium, and tantalum. Nigeria has rare earth tantalum. So, there are multiple countries in Africa which are abundant in natural resources and critical minerals, but unfortunately, these countries are unable to process these rare earths because they do not have technical know how. That's why the world superpowers are eyeing their gauge, are setting their foot in Africa, and they are trying to enter into bilateral or multilateral agreement to control and capture these resources. Look at this one. Sahel region is also in the news. In 2023, UPSC asked question related to Sahel region. Burkina Faso was in the news because recently, Burkina Faso was in the news because of the military and civilian conflict. Recently, Vladimir Putin was in Africa. Look at this one. Please do mapping of all these countries. Burkina Faso, Mauritania, all the countries located within Sahel region. Please map them carefully, right? Such as Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Chad, Sudan. Please pay attention to Sudan and South Sudan. Make sure the Sudan is connected with Red Sea, and South Sudan is landlocked. South Sudan is landlocked. Okay. Geopolitics of Sahel explained. Please read it when you get time. Now, what India is doing, and what are India's stake in African continent. So we have India and Africa have around 2.3 billion people collectively. Indian diaspora in Africa consists of 3 million people, 50,000 strong ethnic African diaspora. In the last in the past 15 years, the trade between India and Africa has grown 20 times. Total bilateral trade is worth $90 billion dollars and still rising. 4,500 Indian soldiers are on the ground in Africa under various UN peacekeeping missions. A fully formed Indian female police unit is also present in Liberia, and some other details are there. Indian owned operated companies are second largest employers in Nigeria. So this is India's stake in, or India's relation with Africa. Next is Compala Principle is related to 10 guiding principle for India's engagement with Africa. UPSC prelims might ask this question, so be prepared for prelims 2026, which talks about Compala Principle. These principles are related to the uh, the the basics or the groundwork of how or on what basis India will interact or engage with African players or African nations. First is intensify and deepen Indian engagement with Africa. The second is greater market access to Africa and greater investment in Africa. The third is enhancing agricultural productivity. Fourth is combating terrorism together and fostering peace and security. So we are the biggest supplier of UN peacekeeping mission, contributor, not supplier. Cooperation on promoting the aspiration of African youth. Create local capabilities and opportunities. Use of digital tool to support Africa's development, and addressing climate change challenges, free and open oceans, and collaboration on establishment just, representative, and democratic global order. So this is what is Kampala Principle, 10 guiding principles for India's engagement with Africa. Now let's get back to the main topic. GS paper 2 talks about Africa in global geopolitics, US China competition, strategic partnership. GS paper 3 topic is related to critical minerals and resource security, energy security, emerging technologies. In essay or in interview, the question may be related to resource nationalism and globalization. Africa from resource curse to strategic pivot. So, Africa, the new geopolitical bullseye. Africa is no longer a passive continent who is surviving on US donations or European countries' donations. Now, it is now a strategic arena where global powers are competing for critical minerals such as cobalt, lithium, rare earths, military footprints, drone bases, logistical hubs, political influence such as deals, diplomacy, and regime support, and economic access, infrastructure, energy, and routes. So, these African nations are no more the so called sub Saharan poor countries, lowest on human development index. Now these countries are utilizing their resources in a very strategic manner. They are coming in alliance, they are making alliances, they are going for the bilateral trade agreement with different countries. And what such example is, um, Democratic Republic of Congo. Recently, Morocco is in the news because US wants to establish its biggest drone center, drone hub in Morocco. So these countries are strategically using their geopolitical locations. Now, flow of event. Resource trigger, critical mineral race is going on in Africa. Democratic Republic of Congo, which is known as one of the biggest repository of cobalt and rare earth, which is essential for electric vehicles, defense technologies, and AI and semiconductors. So the next war is going for, I mean, the war has already started. There is a war, there is a race going on for accessing and controlling critical minerals and critical technologies. Now, result is global power entering Africa not just diplomatically but strategically, keeping in mind the access to critical minerals. Now, great power competition is there in this area. United States of America has recently entered into Morocco or Africa with multi-layered engagements such as deportation deals with Democratic Republic of Congo, which is the entry point of engagement, mineral diplomacy, parallel mineral deals with African state, military tech shift, drone-based warfare model in Morocco, and security partnership, intelligence sharing, and counter-terror infrastructure. So they are coming with multi-layered diplomacy, multi-layered engagement. The first one is related to deportation, the second one is mineral diplomacy, the third one is military technology, and the fourth one is security partnership. So this is not only a common diplomacy, this is a multi-layered diplomacy, multi-layered engagement, multi-pronged engagement between the world superpower and African nations. Next is on China's existing dominance. China is already uh, existing in African nations with deep roots, with massive investment, deep root presence in mining sector, especially in Democratic Republic of Congo. In the name of Belt and Road Initiative, China has already done a massive infrastructure development and investment in African nations. Financial leverage. So warning, China has a first mover advantage, and now US is trying to dislodge its quickly, but it will be difficult for USA. Now Africa's strategic behavior. It says African nations are no more the passive recipient of doles or financial aids. These countries are using or leveraging their positions, right? So leveraging competition for funding, signing transactional deals, migration, minerals, balancing power between US and China, because they don't want to be trapped into US China rivalry. So they are negotiating it in a balanced way. They are trying to make a balance between China and USA without compromising their position and without ending up their camp followers. Now, multilateralization, militarization of Africa, which is the new dimension. Drone warfare model. US is shifting from boots on ground to tech warfare, and definitely US has learned it from Iran. Boots on the ground is costly. Boots on the ground is vulnerable for any kind of attack on soldiers and civilians, soldiers and military personnel. So instead of boots on the ground, US is thinking about drone warfare, which it has learned at a very great cost with Iran. So hub is planned in Morocco, supported by Djibouti, Kenya, and Nigeria. Africa became testing ground for next generation warfare. So this is a risk and opportunity. Risk because these countries might be attacked for being the biggest drone hub for the world superpower. So the way Iran has attacked Saudi countries, in case if there is a future warfare between Iran and USA, Iran might attack these countries, or these countries can also come under fire because they are holding such potential. Link with global conflict. Africa is not isolated, it is deeply affected by West Asian conflicts such as Iran USA tensions, energy disruptions such as Egypt crisis, and trade route instability, such as Egypt facing energy crisis due to global conflict spillover. So it's not that African continent or African countries are isolated from this spillover or this US-Iran war or from the West Asian conflict. Now, political dimension, power consolidation. Cameroon introducing VP system, right? Cameroon is a country in Africa which is introducing VP system, which says regime stability concern, strategic alignment with global power. Now, these African nations are trying to make a balance between USA and China and Russia, but at the same time they are also afraid because these countries do not want to be trapped in any kind of conflict. Next is strategic warning. Resource curse 2.0. Minerals may fuel conflict and not development. There is also a risk that there may be a civil war, there may be a military coup, और तख्ता पलट हो सकता है for access and control of resources. So it can be a curse instead of blessing. Now, neo-colonialism risk. External control over African resources may lead to neo-colonization, and this is a complete possibility. Now, human rights concern. Countries are concerned with the deportation risk and weak oversight, and they are also concerned about the proxy battlefield. Few years back, you may have heard there was a news related to Wagner Group. Few years back, there was a news related to Wagner Group, which is the private militia of Russia. Now, this Russian militia is merged into a Russian permanent regular army, but Russia is having a greater military presence in Sahel region. Next is, so these are the mnemonics which will make it it will become easier for you to remember things. So this is related to mineral war. M for mineral, cobalt and lithium. I for influence, rivalry between US and China. N for new warfare, which is related to drone, because Morocco is going to be a drone hub for USA. E for energy linkages. R for resource nationalism. A Africa, leveraged by local state. W for West Asian spillover. A for alliances shifting and risk of instability. So this is it, and this is the mind map which I have prepared for you. So this is it in this article. We'll get back to you with some new topic. Till then, thank you so much. Wish you a wonderful day ahead. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.